Hello and welcome everybody. We are back for round 8 of the NRS Racing Club Series, the National Club Series. I can't believe we're at round 8 already. I am Kate Bates, stepping in as host for Jet Nagel this week. I believe he's stuck on a plane somewhere, Anna. But that means we've got Anna Russell back in commentary out of the production booth. It's great to have you back, Anna.
Yeah, thanks. I've been watching all of these races from the comfortable seat of my production studio. But yes, excited to commentate this one. I've designed the race series as well, so I'm excited to see how this one plays out. Should we have a look at the map for tonight's race?
Yeah, let's jump in and take a look at that. So we've got 30 kilometres tonight. Watopia figure 8 reverse. That means, Anna, we have 2 sprints and 2 KOMs, a forward and a backward. By no means is this an easy lap.
No, it's pretty furious. So we've got, like you said there, a climb, a sprint, another sprint, and a climb. It sounds simple, just the Watopia figure 8, but I know from racing this one with the bonus points there, it is pretty brutal. So it's not one for the climbers tonight, that's for sure. They've got to bring their power legs, and we'll have a look at the club standings, see how things are sort of shaken out from last week's racing.
Yeah, well, 8 rounds in. We've still got 4 more after this. In third, Randwick Cycling Club. In second, Bathurst. And on the top step there, the Waratah Masters Cycling Club. Anna, do you know what a Waratah is? Just to check.
Like a possumy thing?
It's a flower. I mean,
Oh,
it's
okay.
also living, but not quite in the same way as a
Right.
possum.
I'm thinking a wallaby.
Yes,
I'm thinking a wallaby.
no. A waratah is a beautiful big red flower. It is actually the state flower of New South Wales. And so the
Beautiful.
Waratah Masters are based in New South Wales. So there you go. Fun fact of the night. But they are doing a sensational job and with really good representation across all of the grades. I think we can expect another big performance tonight. Now, and last week it was a little bit of a different course. It was a very sprinty, flat, hectic kind of race. This is a bit of a chance for more team tactics and a little bit more of a kind of warmed in approach. The riders will still want to be warmed up though, because I
Absolutely.
think with everybody we're still in Grand Tour season. People are still watching the Vuelta and people are still wanting to go on that early break. This is the kind of course where they could be out of sight, out of mind
And
pretty quickly.
as you say that, look what's happening in the men's race. Early break here
Oh,
from
look at that.
AD. We've got a Randwick club member coming to join him at the front. He broke away right at the beginning. So straight away, he's got someone kind of coming in and joining him, maybe rolling ahead. The first sprint comes up at about 2.5 kilometers. So we've got 1K. And then they're going to hit that first sprint. Really tricky first sprint. Remember, it's fastest time segment. This one starts on a big sort of sweeping downhill. So if you've timed it right, you'll be in the bunch, you'll drop maybe a drafting power up, use the speed of the bunch, and then slingshot forward, and you should get that fastest time segment. Easy as that.
Yes, easy as that. Who could forget the incredible speed we saw last week from Kyle Marwood, and Adam Bemrose was up there as well. Adam Bemrose is certainly out there again tonight. We haven't seen Kyle. Oh, Kyle Marwood is there as well. He's just lingering in the middle of the bunch, but Adam D and Christo Ball, they're the ones that are forging ahead here. Not a huge gap, but Anna, we know that a small gap can very quickly turn into a big gap. And in fact, if they're only going for those sprint points early, they don't need to get too far out in front. But 8 seconds, look, you can't sneeze at 8 seconds. It's definitely worth paying
Yeah.
attention to.
It is, but it's not the right strategy, in my opinion, because you are going for fastest time segment here, not first across the line. And with only 2 riders, you don't have any benefit of bunch dynamics bringing up that pace. So it'll be interesting if you look at the
Ooh, good
left-hand
point.
side of the
Good
screen,
point.
you'll see the leaderboard as they go through the sprint. And I will guarantee riders in that main pack will end up taking the fastest time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's a really good point. I was thinking first across the line, but fastest through sprint, you want the weight and the collective speed of that bunch to be able to nab that. And I'm wondering if they've perhaps made an error there, Anna, and not considered that it's FTS.
Exactly. And look
rather
at
than
this.
FAL. This is a
Fowler
big
opening
sprint
it
from the
up.
bunch.
And it's got 13 seconds that we saw from AD. And look at that, 10 seconds from Mitch Zito. So
Whoa, wow.
absolutely stay in the bunch. But very soon, at about 5 kilometers, they're going to hit a climb. I just want to make sure we can get across to see the women as well and see who is taking that fastest time. Looks like it could have been Spicy there. Kate Spicy taking that out.
Ooh, Kate Spicy was great last week until she wasn't. Fantastic to see her in action again today, and very good timing, can I say, commentator, producer, for getting over to the women that quickly. Very well done on that front. We need to see now if the fellas sit up after that massive effort and take a little bit of a break, or whether they continue with that speed and bring that back before the next KOM, because once they are on the KOM, that gap will only get harder to bring back.
I just saw there a little bit. They've still got their lead out the front, so it's only about 6 seconds, 7 seconds. You can see that pack chasing behind of these two riders out the front. They've dropped off one. So, man, from Seaball here from Randwick Club, they are wanting to make this race as hard as humanly possible.
Yeah, it's not a bad tactic. I mean, I think that Cristobal, if I keep call him Crystal, I apologize to Christo for that, but that's bound to happen. It's not a bad tactic because it just keeps everybody on their toes, and to a degree it throws them a little bit off kilter if they weren't expecting it, and for whatever tactics they had set out, this might throw it a little bit out the window. They'll have to be a bit patient because, you know, it will be exhausting to be out the front, especially up that KOM after such a frantic start. Remembering they're racing 30 kilometres tonight, they're only 4.3 kilometres in, so still a very significant way to go. Next up is the KOM, 2.4 kilometres. It's not a short KOM. We're not talking about a 500-metre climb that you can muscle over. It will take a fair bit out of his legs, and it looks like it's coming together with Adam there. Adam D. And if they, I feel like Cristobal maybe damaged the partnership with that little attack. So will they work together? I don't know.
I don't know. It doesn't look like they're working together super well. I think the riders in this pack know what they're doing a little bit more. They're kind of staying in. Again, this climb, it is long, but it's really only steep for the first section here that they're approaching now. You'll see the red lines on the road. They'll kick up towards those big statue cyclists in the background, and that is very steep, up to around 14%. And then it just flattens off, and it doesn't get much more than 3% after that, with huge draft benefits. So yeah, I think stay in the pack. We've got some riders actually, as we're looking here, just dropping off the back. Adam Benrose just got caught out a little bit there. You can see him in that, he's got a great kit there. Is that actually no, it's a rider ahead of him, WMZ. Like that's a great club kit.
Oh, you like the B, that one.
That's a good kit.
That looks pretty fancy. I was quite enamoured with the lovely bear looking. Is that a bear on the back of the other jersey?
I think it was, yeah. So I'm not sure what club that was. But there are some good looking kits here. They're taking a bit of time in it. Here we go, hitting the very steep part of this climb. They'll come around. You'll see orange numbers, a few feathers being dropped. And I wonder if now is the time that gap will start to come down. Look at Kyle Marwood. He's going for it. He had a great race last week and obviously wants to spice things up again tonight. The women also have just hit the early stages of this climb, and we've got J10 there, a few Bs. So the Bs and As are together. Kate Spicy moving to the front, and maybe she's making up for what happened last week.
Yeah, Kate Spicy can be a little bit spicy. She's got a bit of spunk. I love Dub Vegas. We're assuming that's Dubbo Cycling Club. And look, there's a beautiful zoo out there, Anna. And considering you thought a waratah was an animal, I think you possibly should visit Western Plains Zoo out in Dubbo and get yourself acquainted with the Australian animals. But it is beautiful out there. And they actually have an incredible history of elite athletes and national team representation from that club. So it's very much way out west, about 6 hours west of Sydney, Anna, in the car. So They certainly seem to be a bit of a talent factory out there, but it gets very hot. I can imagine even in the summer, a lot of them would be taking a bit of solace in their trainers and their garages. Kate Spicy, she's got a bit of a lead. She's stringing it out. It's not turning into a solo break, but what it is absolutely doing is putting the pressure on the rest of the bunch to have to chase, which is breaking them up a little bit. Over to the men, Kyle Marwood, jeepers, what a ride from him.
He's doing well, but look at
up the climb.
Heroes.
Yeah.
He was off the back before, and now kicking it off the front, just a cool 6.3 watts per kg, pretty high heart rate there too.
Oof.
Now, I do want to talk about, you said there's a bit of a talent factory. How good is Australia doing in the Vuelta? I mean, Caden Groves, Jay Vine. I mean, you guys are just sweeping up the stages.
Yeah, it's been sensational. I mean, the Vuelta's a bit of a mixed bag, you know? Like a lot of people are getting COVID. There's some falls. Everybody's complaining about the heat. But the young Aussies are doing really well. And it's been so fascinating how everybody's spoken about, you know, the impact of Zwift. And I think what's kind of come out and dominated the conversation at this end of the week, Anna, and you'll love this being the complete Zwift nerd that you are, is that it's not just about the platform itself. It's that Jay nerds out on it, and he's super analytical, and his wife, Bree, who has been top 10 in the Esports Worlds every year since its inception, she's also totally nerds out on all the data, and that's become a real advantage for them. So very interesting. As we talk about that, Adam Bemrose taking out the points, Stevenson coming in for second. Great climb from Bemrose. Yeah. Last week we were a bit shocked that he got beaten in a sprint given how capable he was. We thought that he could really push Marwood all the way to the end. But I'm wondering if he kind of stopped for a water bottle before when he was going off the back a little bit. He clearly has good legs. Kate Spicy still doing a whole lot of damage. 4 seconds up. Wow. But then McGarry is 11 seconds back. And then it's back to, I think if that's Kay Howard, if that's Kim Howard, she's an exceptionally good coach. One of the leading female coaches of all time in Australia, an absolute royalty, Anna. I'm going to check if it is Kim.
That'd be good.
But yes.
It's important to note too, Kate Spicy is in the B category. So the Bs and As are together, and Kate Spicy is taking it away from the Bs. Now, what I'd be interested to know is, did she set the fastest time? She did a solo. We saw Adam set the fastest time, even though he was solo off the front. And she has, they're just following the As here. We've got 4:21 sitting there for Panaguia. And looks like McGarry is 4:26. So I reckon Kate Spicy would have been a bit quicker than that. So she's mopping up a lot of points. And if this is Coach Kim Howard, she has just crested the climb herself and is now on the much-needed downhill recovery for everyone.
Well, incidentally, it's not Coach Kim, but shout out to Coach Kim, whose son, by the way, is Lee Howard, who is an Olympic medalist and a world champion for Australia on the track. So the whole family is royalty, absolutely. So not the Kim Howard, but a similar name. So maybe she'll get some of the speed and inspiration from that. It's pretty strung out here. Yeah. 19 seconds up. They're all kind of one by one. Usually we actually see the opposite of what we're seeing here, where the women are in a smaller bunch and the men tend to blow up a bit like that. But the early move from Christo Ball has shattered the bunch in bringing him back. They are now a bunch of 5. Yeah, very significant. 10 seconds back to the chasers.
And I'm surprised you've got the likes of Mitch Zito here. I mean, these are legit riders who are now chasing 8 seconds back, and there doesn't seem to be a huge amount of cooperation in this group. They're kind of rolling around at 3.5 watts a kg. They can just see the riders ahead, 10 seconds up, but look how fast they're going, about 4.2, 46k an hour. I think this group has the motivation to stay away, and we've got, it looks like a couple of teams in this front group who may be motivated to work together. Looking at another sprint coming up for fastest time segment at about 16 kilometers. So they do have a nice little bit of respite here, about 6K for them to just relax, get the legs ready, and get prepared for that next sprint.
Yeah, you do need to temper your efforts a little bit, because it isn't just that it's 30 kilometres, it's that each of those 4 intermediates, 2 sprints and 2 KOMs, take quite a lot.
Yeah, they sure
Quite
do.
a lot of
And
effort.
it
Yeah.
does. And you can see this next sprint is actually a little bit longer. So it's the reverse of what we did before. And it's a long sprint, really, really hard to get timing right. So I'll be interested to see how these guys go. They've blown out that lead to 13 seconds now. So the others, they are showing a little bit more sort of urgency. We're seeing some 4 numbers up the front, but nowhere near what these guys are riding. And we can see here from Seaball, let's roll on the front. They're going to kind of form a little team time trial group, I think, here, but they're just decimating this chase group, who's just kind of chilling out a little bit too much. They've really stayed away, and they're supporting each other too. Good work, boys. I mean, that's always good. A chase pack who's supporting each other, not yelling at each other, is what you want to see.
Yeah. Well, who's to say there's not some verbal discourse happening? Well, we don't really know. Now, normally when we are talking about community league or such, we know that a lot of them are communicating on Discord and keeping in touch via that. We would assume that these clubs are doing a similar kind of thing in order to communicate amongst themselves, which will help with a chase or any coordination. But that is the big difference when they're on this platform versus IRL, Anna, is they can't communicate with each other across clubs and across different groups unless they do it publicly. We have seen some of that, though, haven't we, over the time?
Oh,
A
yeah.
few little spicy comments in the public domain, which is certainly quite entertaining.
And talking about spicy comments, Kate Spicy still off the front, but look at the effort that Makuri and Panigua is putting in. They're putting in some 6.7, 5.8 watts a kg to get back up to Kate Spicy. I think they're just sick of her being out the front and kind of toying with them a bit. And look how quickly that's coming down from Makuri. Her heart rate is extremely low as well. That's crazy numbers there. That's me riding at zone 2. So she's obviously doing very well, keeping this effort in check. But now she's down to 4 seconds. She'll get on Spicy. Now, what I wonder is, will she catch up and just roll through and keep this, 6 watts per kg going? Or is she just going to sit on? Because she has gotten away from her A category competitor who hasn't been able to hold that same kind of power.
It would be brave of her if she continued with that much power. I think that she's more likely, Makuri, to join forces with Kate Spicy, take a little bit of a gap. Makuri was sensational last week, so she's clearly got pretty good form. It's just about what she's trying to achieve here. Was she just trying to get back to Spicy to neutralise that and stop having to wonder when they may catch her? Or is she really trying to go solo here? I think these pair can make a dent that won't be able to be caught by any chasers. So it's over 30 seconds back to that main bunch, and they're not getting... It's not that they're not trying, but they're so reduced, Anna, that it's hard for them. They don't have a big number advantage, which usually you're expecting to see in a chasing bunch if you're expecting them to make any serious headway back to it.
Yeah, so they've got a few bunches on the road now. We've got Robinson here, Arnold working with Howard and Audrey. They're sort of what I'd call the chase pack. Then you've got Paniguya, who is devastatingly close. I mean, she's still the good position Makuri and Spicy are in now is that they can sort of watch what her watts are, see what she's doing, and just stay ahead of that, and they'll keep that sort of 11, 12-second gap going. So that's an unfortunate position to be in, kind of no women's land here, as they're on a lot of just general flat terrain until they hit this next sprint. All she can hope for now is to gather a whole lot of points in the fastest time segment sections and make up for the fact that she may not be in a winning position at the finish line for this race.
And that's what you need to think about pre-race. And, I have to ask, Anna, is the whiteboard still in use? I think some of our athletes may not have experienced your incredible whiteboard skills that you use in the community league broadcasting. But for anybody who doesn't know, Anna has quite the talent for strategy, usually drawn on a big old whiteboard. This is the kind of race where you've got to draw it all out there and then backtrack and figure out the best way to get the points and the fastest through segment, because you're not just trying to cross the line first in all of them. And that needs quite a lot of consideration. It's unusual that in both races we see this occurring on this kind of course where we've got a very clear kind of dominant leader. But Christo Ball,
wow.
It's like he had a Red Bull before he got on his bike tonight, Anna. He's on a mission. He is absolutely determined. And we can see that the gap isn't particularly large back to this small, very reduced chasing pack. But he's pushing on. It's a dangerous little pack though, isn't it? Because between Marwood and Bemrose, I really wouldn't want to be taking them anywhere near a sprint or a finish.
Yeah, I mean, I like what he's doing. He's sort of just putting in efforts, keeping it interesting. He's riding the disc there, which I think there's one other rider in there with a disc, a few others on the Tron bikes. Now that disc is going to bode well for this next sprint, which is coming up very shortly. So they're at about 15 kilometers. The sprint is at approximately 16. So we're looking at about a 1K to go. They're going to kind of come round this right-hander into the Italian villas. There's a nice little in-game pizza shop on the right-hand side, if you can spot that. And it's a long sprint, 360 meters. Like I said, very, very tricky to time. And these guys, here we go, coming around this right-hander, they'll see a bridge sort of approaching in the distance. There's a pizza shop on the right, Pipo's Pizza Palace. They will not be stopping there because the sprint is just coming up into the bridge.
Pipo's Pizza Palace. Somebody has a love of alliteration. The in-game designers have a good sense of humour.
Yeah, and I mean, how would you approach this sprint? We're seeing the green line here. Honestly, if you're going fastest time, you've got to stick in the draft for as long as possible. And we're seeing people open this up. In my mind, perhaps slightly too early.
Oh, I love this sprint. This is one that I always go for power PBs on if I'm having a little bit of fun in game. So there you go. Because when you're going through that tunnel before and they're about to hit the line now, I think that was was it? It looked
fastest
almost
time.
like Marwood. Let's see what the results come up with there. That was tight. Stevenson certainly had a massive run at it.
Stevenson,
look at that.
Time.
Yes.
Marwood second. All of them within a second of each other. I mean, it's only, 100th of a second between Stevenson and Marwood. Very, very close.
It is, and it is deceptive when it's fastest through, not first across the line, because we're looking at different things. But it is a sprint where you can hit that line with fairly full speed and hang on to that speed and get a really good time, as well as quite a good power, just because of how it runs in. So if you are going for fastest through segment and you do have a small bunch, then the best tactic is to accelerate quite solidly before you even hit the line and hit the back of the bunch at full speed as you cross that line, and then use that draft to continue accelerating until you have to stick your head out in the wind. So it looks to me as though Stevenson did a pretty perfect job there, because he didn't cross the line first, but he was still the fastest. And this is actually a really tough section through here, these little rollies. Sorry to jump in there, Anna, but this reminds me, when I do go for those trying to get good powers on that sprint, this little bit is actually almost quite vomit-inducing, these little ups and downs. They hurt more than that you think that they should.
Yeah, it's actually quite tricky because you got to really pump on the pedals on the up to get enough momentum for the down. You kind of got to ride them like a little bit of a roller coaster. Did just want to note though that we did see some really fast riders in that second group in the men's. From the likes of Mitch Zito, I saw up to about 14
Ooh.
watts a kg. So there could have been a fastest time set from someone in the chase pack, and that's what we might see here with the women as we're seeing McGarry and Spicy going a woman battle on the front. Looks like McGarry, she's going all in for the fastest time segment. We'll see what Spicy does. She doesn't seem to be going as quick. They're not really opening up a huge sprint here. So we'll see what happens here, and then we'll go back and look at this chase pack because I think this could be quite interesting.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? You can control your sprint across the line, but not others. Now, McGarry, 26.83. Now, that is a long sprint.
Yeah.
That is a very long sprint. We're not talking about a 12-second effort. There's quite a difference in this one, isn't there? The women's field, they've come back together ever so slightly, but these three, or these four, are they, together, they're chasing the front two, Spicy and McGarry.
A minute
I don't think
behind.
they're coming
No
back
way,
anytime
though, right?
soon.
Oh, look at this.
But this is
She'll get
now
fastest
this
time.
is fastest through segment. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
look at those
she may be a
numbers.
minute behind, but they're massive.
Wow, she is a sprinter. Look at that right up out of the saddle, 14 watts a kg. Great bike setup too. And look, back into orange numbers. Took a little bit of recovery, then back up out of the saddle. She is owning the sprint. I'll be very interested to see if she bypasses McGarry.
Oof.
And she does. 2 seconds
Whoa.
quicker. Great strategy.
Yeah, that was sensational. And that's kind of what we talked about, where you look at the sprinter, because of the length of it, you think you don't want to go too early. But actually, as it plays out, you can end up getting quite a lot of momentum and holding on to it a little bit in that sprint. So fantastic ride from her. And it'll be interesting at the end to see how it all plays out when we include all of those fastest through segment. Now, up the front, Spicy and McGarry are doing a fairly good job working together there. Over in the men's, it's come back
They're
together
about to
a
hit
little
their
bit, Anna.
climb.
So this final climb will be tough on the legs.
Oh, and this way is the brutal way because it's straight up. It's short. We're only looking at about 0.9 of a kilometer, whereas the other KOM was about 2.5. But the average grade here is 5%. Now, average grade, but I mean, honestly, this one really kicks up. This is the climb they actually used in the UCI Worlds course a couple of years ago on Zwift. And this really, I think they did it 4 times, this kind of a climb. And yeah, man, it messed a lot of people up. So yeah, we can already see we've got Marwood, Campbell, and Stevenson off the head a little bit from Bemrose, who is chasing from behind. Now remember, again, fastest time segment. So kind of good to stay in the pack here. And you can see here, Bemrose timing this to perfection. Aero power up. He's just going all in, straight from bottom to top.
That was a big acceleration from him. This is what he did last time. And he had such a good climb. We thought that he might have been a little bit in trouble before. He's still getting out of his seat and really going for this. To see so much orange on the bottom of a climb is unusual. It's a little bit sadistic. I feel like Adam Bemrose is channeling his inner... Now his name's left my head. Mark
Jay
O'Brien.
Vine.
That's where I was thinking. Well, Jay Vine too, but Mark O'Brien, who in community and the Pro Racing League absolutely rips in Premier League, rips people's legs off constantly with these massive attacks on the climbs. There's not too far to the KOM. We can see it a little bit ahead. He's broken the back of this one, and he's kind of broken the spirits of some of his breakaway companions too.
I actually don't think he's going to get the points on this one, though, or the overall first on this climb, because he went too hard at the start. And then you've got the likes of Kyle Marwood timing it to perfection, sitting in the draft of the pack, and then rolling over Bemrose with only 100 meters to go. And I actually just wonder, even if this rider here could set, Krista Ball could set the fastest time as well, as we see Kyle Marwood go over And that Bemrose set 1:36. He did take fastest time by 1 second. And then the third fastest, look at those, all within 4 seconds of each other. This is a very tight front pack. We'll see how this group behind goes because they'll also be going for fastest time segment and it could start to get a little bit interesting.
That was a very big energy suck from him, but that was entertaining, can I say, Adam Bemrose. And we do have to wait until all of the other riders dribble in to see where it ends up with that fastest through segment. But Bemrose has shown tonight that he's a fairly dynamic rider because if you delve into his Zwift power, and I do encourage anybody to dig in there and take a look at these rider profiles because they are quite interesting. He has a lot of power. So in terms of acceleration and his 5-second and 15-second PBs are not insignificant at all. His PB is over 1,000 watts, 13.5 watts for a 15-second PB. Holy moly, that is pretty massive. And so if we consider that, the fact that he climbs so well is a fairly impressive feat.
Yeah, let's see what happens here with this chasing pack. If anyone can take Adam Bemrose's time of 1:36. No, nowhere near. They're all down at about 1:56.
30 seconds of drift.
Wow, that's a stomping time from Bemrose there. Very, very impressive.
Yeah, geez, he can chill out a little bit after doing that, have a little bit of confidence in himself, as well as the others being a little bit more scared. Now, over in the women, Makuri and Spicy are heading up. Panagao, she did an absolutely incredible sprint to take the fastest through segment by 2 seconds, which 26 to 24 seconds is a very significant margin. But what will they be able to do on the KOM? I think it might be a little bit of a different scenario. And these pair are fairly comfortable riding up together. Similar wattages getting put out, similar kinds of riders. They're yo-yoing back and forth a bit. Anna, you have to wonder, are they doing that because they are trying to help each other get up there, or are they just both throwing everything they can at it and using the other as a bit of a pacing tool?
Well, I think they're looking at each other and going, look, I'll win category A and Spicy, you win category B, but let's work together. So they're not sort of in a direct category competition, although they are from different clubs. And so you'd kind of think they want to, get the most points for their club. I think they're kind of working together because they're not, in a massive competition. It's not like an A versus A where they really want to beat each other on the line. They're just mopping up and getting all the points for each of their categories. So very impressive riding. I'm actually quite impressed by Kate Spicy here, holding it with an A cat, and she's taken she's got the KOM points, the sprint points. I assume she'll be the fastest time up here as well, although Arnold here is chasing pretty hard at some pretty high watts. So we'll have to see later in the results. I think she's realised that and she's putting in a huge effort at the end here.
And it is a good tactic, actually, if you're suffering a little bit, to drop back to a pace, get a bit of rest, drop back to a group that's a little bit more comfortable. Spicy first across the line there, Makuri right after her. But for these riders back here, to take that rest in between and then really just focus in their efforts on those 4 intermediates. Panagao, she was sensational in that last sprint. Like, holy moly, the power she was putting out on her. But she looks really comfortable up here as well. And heart rate is very high, but cadence is high too. And so you might wonder how, of course, it's an avatar. Of course, the avatar looks comfortable. But to me, whenever the cadence is really over 75, but over 80 particularly, it shows that they're in a pretty decent place in terms of comfort. It is starting to drop a little bit here. It is biting a bit as they come around and turn this corner up to and over the KOM. We thought Arnold might be on for fastest time, but I'm thinking that Panagao might actually take this over here from Makuri. So she does that. Massive effort for her, both in the sprint and in the KOM. Interesting then that she's not actually in the front pack.
Yeah, I wonder if she had a dropout or she just sort of had a momentary lapse in concentration. But yeah, she's hitting some huge numbers. Look at that heart rate too, 193. I mean, working extremely hard. I'm really interested in this time, beating 227. Will she be able to do it? 213. Oh, wow. By over 10 seconds. Do you know what? I think she's just gone with the strategy, which I don't disagree with, of kind of really taking it easy, kind of forgoing finish line points, saying, I don't need the finish line points. I'm going to go purely for segments and just get as many points from that as I can. Pretty good strategy here to do that. I mean, she is crazy good on these segments.
I think you need to consider what you're trying to get out of the race. And I think in terms of showing her dominance in those segments, that she's making the right decision for her and her performance, because it's certainly not taking anything away. Now, it's an interesting consideration with Zwift racing because it's not really an IRL scenario at all. So are we looking at esports developing in a parallel way to IRL, where really it's just a indoor virtual replication, or are we designing a whole new way of racing where all of these different strategies and gameplays come in, and in fact require the athletes to really change their mindset because they're just used to being first over the line? I think it's the latter, Anna, and there's some rumors that this year's World Championships for esports on Zwift are going to be something entirely different than what we've seen before, and really quite divergent to the in real life racing. And if that's the case, as they go in those different directions, we might see some really interesting different strategies.
Oh, Kate, such
filling
a good
that
point.
whiteboard, Anna.
Oh, I've got to say that is such a good point, and that's why we've kind of gone with a little bit of a different event structure second time around with this round 2 of the AusCycling Club series, with points, with fastest time segment, because this isn't, and it is kind of the direction Zwift is going with e-racing. It is not trying to replicate what is happening in the real world. We're in a computer game. These are avatars racing, and that means, you can have a bit of fun with it. You can set fastest time segments. You can have little bits of dirt road. You can have bike change scenarios, all of this fun stuff that you just can't really do in the real world. So this is, I think, a great direction for the esport to take, is to game it a little bit more, like have points on certain parts of a course. And it just changes the rider style. It changes the way people do it. And they sort of get out of that mindset of, this is just a 40-kilometer scratch race, similar to what you'd see in the real world. It just adds that gamification.
It makes it really interesting. And then if something doesn't work, you just change it up for the next one. I mean, I think that's the beauty of it. And you can get a lot of buy-in then from the athletes too, because the sky's the limit in terms of creativity. And what you can potentially do. It'll also change the way I think we look at the athletes. And, I was thinking the other day, Anna, what would happen if you got a machine learning bot to do strategy for Zwift? How much of that would come into play versus instinct versus, spirit, and how much people rally when the chips are down. But what would happen if you put a bot in that could do the average speed or the average power that where a lot of our riders do, but then give them that predetermined machine learning for scenarios? Anyway, I'm just putting it out there.
Wow.
They did it in chess, and it didn't go quite as everybody thought. And so, let's see if they can maybe do that in Zwift. It could be a little bit of fun.
I think I think the heart and soul of a rider, like the person sitting on their bike at home, makes the difference, right? I mean, you looked at Ben Rose here putting a huge effort, and they've dropped Campbell right off the back. He's now 5 seconds back. So obviously that just hit his limit too much. He's been spat out. Now we've got a lead group of 4. We've got Krista Ball taking it the reins again at 7 watts a kg, broken away 4 seconds. I mean, they've only got about 2 kilometers to go.
Ooh, not far, yes.
Is this a gun for the line?
Geez, Christo Ball, it's like he just can't get enough. He's absolutely an animal out there today. Maybe he has a crystal ball, Anna, that told him to just keep going. Sorry, I couldn't help it. And because he's really continued to attack relentlessly throughout this in the sections where we thought they might all be sitting up and taking a bit of recovery. 30 kilometres is the race. They're not far at all from the finish now. If he comes into the finish with the likes of Bemrose and Marwood, he's not handy. Let's not say he's a slow rider, Christo Ball. He still has a 12.4 watt per kg, 15-second PB. So he's solid. But Marwood and Bemrose are two of the best, of the most powerful riders we have in game in this setting at the moment. So Ball has used that enormous amount of power he has to launch a pretty effective breakaway here. He's caught them a bit unawares. And now they're scrambling to try and work together to try and figure out how to drag it back. 7 seconds. It is another 1 second then back to Bemrose and Stevenson. They're all spread out. Now, Marwood had an exceptionally fast finish last week, but he hasn't been able to shut that gap immediately. He's going to start really hurting. If Ball can rally here, this last 5 seconds will seem like an eternity for Kyle Marwood. They're trying, though. They're in the orange, Marwood and Bemrose. They're throwing everything at it. Christo Ball's getting hit with the kitchen sink right now. But as he comes into this finale, I can see the finish banner on that map, Anna. He can smell the finish banner. Can Christo Ball hang out here? Still 4 seconds to Marwood, 5 to Bemrose. I think he might have this.
I think he could have this. Yeah, they've given up, really. It's going to be a battle between Bemrose and Marwood behind. They're putting in some orange numbers from Bemrose, but I think they've left it far too late. 4 seconds, banner in sight. Christo Ball taking it out for Randwick Cycling Club. Bemrose behind. I'm interested to see. He's pulled away, actually, from Marwood. Looks like Marwood will be coming in third across the line. And then you've got Stevenson rolling in for fourth, with Campbell, who got dropped off in the tunnel, for fifth. Check out Zwift Power later, though, because I'll be interested to know how those fastest time segments played in, because there was some definite tactical and smart racing there to take overall points and take out the win for tonight. But first across the line there was a great job. Just shows you, try breakaway. You know, everyone's hurting. Try breakaway. You could get away.
Give it a go. The old adage, Anna, is if you're hurting, that's when you attack, because you can be sure that everybody else is hurting too. Take that one with a grain of salt, though. If you're having an absolute Barry Crocker, maybe don't do that. You've got to be smart as well. Kate Spicy, she has ridden brilliantly this week. I have to wonder if last week something happened, because she was riding brilliantly and then she kind of blew a foo-foo valve. Now, maybe she's just gaining fitness, and another week later gives her a little bit more. Maybe she'd just eaten a chicken curry before she jumped on a bike, Anna, and it just wasn't working for her.
Yeah, that can happen. You know, you can really not feel good when you get on the bike.
Exactly.
Yeah. But they've been working well together. 2:30 for the group behind. But we do know some of those riders in the group behind have been specifically targeting segments. So again, it'll be interesting to see how this kind of shakes out as their points are added up at the end. Check out Zwift Power for those results. But if we look at a battle for the line, these two, I don't think there's any love lost. I think they're going to go all in to outsprint each other at line. And who are you picking here? I think McGarry might have the sprinting edge on Spicy.
Well, McGarry certainly was brilliant last week, but Spicy was until she wasn't. So she had some really great legs. If we look at their 15-second PBs, then we're looking at Kate Spicy for the best watts per kg, maybe a better acceleration, but we're looking at McGarry for more overall grunt. And so it'll be an interesting combo here, because it will then come down a little bit to tactics. Anna, who can get the jump sprinters sprint differently. Some of them have a very fast acceleration, like someone like Mark Cavendish. There's others. Andre Greipel used to be a really good example, where he's very fast when already going a fast speed. But if it was a smaller group and a lower speed, he wasn't as powerful. And so we can get a little bit deceived by the numbers sometimes. I reckon if Kate Spicy plays this right, she's kind of shown all day that she's got a bit of tenacity in her tonight. It's not just about her having good legs, but she's certainly come here with a little bit of determination.
Yeah,
But she's not going to lead it out, I reckon. If McGarry leads out, then Spicy's good. But I think whoever is leading out is probably going to have it a bit tough.
Yeah, absolutely. I just they've ridden kind of side by side almost this entire ride. There's like no one has been sitting in the draft as much as I thought they would. So I think someone's going to jump early, and I think that's going to be Spicy. I have also got eyes on the C category men race, so we might. They're about kilometre and a half apart. So we'll watch these women finish, and then we'll bring up a double screen because there's a huge group of C men, and it'll be quite an interesting sprint to see at the end to show some of these other categories. But looking at Spicy and McGarry here, not very long to go, just over a kilometre. So I'm going to go McGarry just as a caller. I don't know either of these riders, in depth, but I do know that I've seen some good numbers from McGarry. Although Spicy, she does have that sprinting jersey on her. So maybe I've totally picked wrong. Well, and she's all in green too.
I know. I've just dived into Zwift Power because I'm like, surely we have some numbers to help us out here. And indeed, Kate Spicy, her heart rate is significantly higher than McGarry. We have noted though that McGarry's heart rate is quite low. Yeah. And we do know that as you get a little bit more mature in your athletic career, let's call it that, because we're both, descending rapidly toward maturity, Anna, my dear.
What?
Come on, let's be realistic. I mean, we're not there yet, but we're on our way. The march is real. Your heart rate does naturally drop, and so you can't necessarily compare heart rates and see how they go. But the sprinters opened up, Spicy from the front, but McGarry muscling over.
No, she's not going to make it. Spicy's going to take it. McGarry pushing up to 15 now, though. 15 from McGarry. She's going to take it over. Look at those numbers. 12 and up. That cadence. 130. Wow. I'm going to watch a replay of that because that had a huge kick to the line. I will just cut across now as we do have an attack in the men's C category. So I've been watching these. We've got Nichols on the front from BXCC taking out a huge early drive for the line. They're about a kilometre away. There's a tiny little kicker climb here, very small, but enough to kind of get a bit of a gap. He's got huge numbers, but I think potentially a little bit early. Look how fast these guys are catching from behind.
Yeah, David Nicholas on paper is definitely the best sprinter, but you've still got to play it smart. He's gone early, but he has ripped it apart behind him, and that little gap back to Robbo, it's like watching an elastic band, Anna. He's not getting any closer. He's not getting any further. He's just hanging on there. Now, if Robbo can just take a deep breath, he might be able to. It's coming down. He's doing it. Robbo is making the march toward David Nicholas. Whiteley and Rusink, they're now out of the picture, 4 or 5 seconds behind. He's gone early, Robbo. He's gone straight past Nicholas. There's danger for the rider who leads out. Nicholas has gone now, opened up the sprint. Robbo hasn't been able to respond quite as much, and the gap opens up. Nicholas is going to take this, Anna. Wow, what a sprint. Fantastic ride from Nicholas.
Yes, great.
Yes.
He rode that well. So congrats to him.
Great.
C category men there, looking very good. Just seeing if we can get eyes on another category as well. Just see if we can cross across a few, just with the races being a bit shorter. It's good to get across, see if we can see some of the other cats. We've got the D as well. Just see, looks as though we've got the female D cat too. We'll have a quick look at them, and then I'll show some of those replays from the sprint, because that one between Makuri and Spicy was particularly interesting.
It was. Gee, this is a good finish for some sprints here. So let's take a look.
We're looking here at the C category women. So this is a big group that the C cat women are finishing with. So about 5 riders. This is a bit different to what we've seen in the A categories, that's for sure. It's been 1s or 2s. This is a nice group coming into the line. Very, very short time. They will finish about 800 meters.
Well, Ilyada B, I've seen her in the community leagues. Wouldn't want to be sprinting with her, I tell you, Anna.
Oh.
She is pretty savvy. So I think I'm comfortable saying don't lead out if you don't have to, because I think that you have a little bit more control. Now, Ilyada's sitting toward the back. I'd love to see her give a little bit of length and hit them really hard once they go under that bridge in the final sprint. Now, this is the biggest group we've seen come in yet. So we've been looking at 2-up sprints, but a 5-up, entirely different dynamic here.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't even know who, I don't see any jerseys of the riders. So I'm interested to know who could take the fastest. We've got a feather being dropped, a drafting power up, which is smart from McGowan, from Chaos. She is obviously a sprinter here. Look at this from McGowan, 9.4, but Galea, 10.5. She could come through. She's coming for a hot finish to the line. It looks like McGowan taking it out. That is a very, very tight finish. Wow, they're still sprinting. Wow, that was intense there from those riders.
I can't get enough.
I will just bring
that was a good one.
The replay of Spicy and Makuri, because I think that was a really good sort of what would you call it? Sort of, it's very tactical when you've just got 2 riders like this going up against each other, and they seem to. It sort of went Spicy, and I thought she was going to have it, and then Makuri really opened it up. So at this point, they're just kind of coming around these last corners. They're sort of just riding together as they were. Get right near the end here. So you had Spicy open it right up early. I thought she had it here.
It is a little bit cat and mousey, isn't it? I thought Spicy had it too. Makuri left her run, in my opinion, way too late. We were very scared for her here. We thought Spicy had it hands down. Now, if you look at the orange, you can see that Makuri's got a significantly higher power, but she hadn't gained a lot of distance. It's really only when Spicy really dials it back that it happens. And you can tell as soon as Makuri goes over the top, Spicy loses her spice. She's done for the day. Makuri got it easily, but they both massively animated the races. Now, without our dear Jet here, we've forgotten the Golden Bilby as well as the Honey Badger, Anna. I reckon Kate Spicy deserves that Golden Bilby because she was incredible. And can I be so daring? This is a democracy. We do both get a vote. But can I put it out there that I reckon Christo Ball has got to be someone you look at in the fellas?
Yeah, I also like the way Adam Bemrose raced as well. Really went after some of those segments and also kind of just put in those digs to sort of get away, keep it interesting, keep the sort of pace on, keep the group moving. So, but I'll take it. I'll go Crystal Ball just because I like the name too, with your little pun of Crystal Ball.
Yeah, I think he did that on purpose. And I respect that, I gotta say. Well, we've got, this was round 8. We've got 4 more to go. That's 9 through 12 for any of our budding mathematicians out there. And yes, and Anna, all of them will be in this same format. As we saw, the Waratah club has come in on top. Bathurst was sitting in second. We had Randwick sitting in third. We certainly know from watching that race that Randwick have picked up quite a few points tonight.
Yeah,
so we'll have to check out the results to see who got all of those fastest through segments for the evening, the KOMs and those sprints as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say the Zwift Power results usually take about 30 minutes maybe to just finalize all of those fastest times for everyone coming through, and it'll add up your points, and you'll see you may have been first across the line, but I don't know if that's how it'll shake out in the end.
Yeah, well, there might be some re-strategizing going on for next week, especially I think people rushing out. There'll be a rush on Officeworks for whiteboards tomorrow, Anna.
Absolutely.
So see what you can do. While we're here, I think we need to give your podcast a bit of a plug. Tell us about it. Anna is co-hosting a Zwift podcast, and you get to dive into all of the intelligence behind the data, completely nerd out. Anna, tell us where we can find it.
Oh, that'll be on, it's live on YouTube, but way too early for you Australians. I think it's about 4 in the morning. And then it's just available on all podcast platforms, called The Wrap. And yeah, tomorrow we actually have on a sports psychologist to talk to us about how to deal with nerves before a race, because I know I get very nervous before Zwift races. And Katie, you've also got a podcast. I don't think you've shouted out on here before. We're all podcasting.
We do, yes. I've got a podcast called The Wheelhouse with Kate and Joel. You can also find that on YouTube or any of your podcast platforms. It's because we just get so excited about all this damn bike racing, Anna. I know. We love talking about it. I will wrap up. Thank you very much for joining us, Anna. Thank you very much for jumping into my shoes so I could jump into Jet's shoes. He should be back next week, unless by popular vote you want Anna and I back.
No,
I'm kidding.
okay. I'll stay behind the scenes.
I don't think work conditions would allow us to punt Jet, and we love him anyway. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Great racing, and we'll see you same time, same place next week for round number 9.